Boys, girls, or Chelsea fans, the classic rivalry returns back to Stamford Bridge tomorrow evening, Chelsea vs Barcelona. You know the significance, you know the history, you know, most importantly, there is some serious pride at stake to play for. Now for me, it's kind of crazy that we haven't played against Barcelona since Antonio Conte was our manager all those years back, and listen, no surprise to me that our record against them started to get a bit mid when he was our manager. But it's funny because Chelsea and Barca used to be completely synonymous with the Champions League. We would play them all the time. So tomorrow, the game is perfectly poised between both teams. Both teams found themselves level on points in the Champions League group table. Both teams' historic record is 4 wins apiece and 6 draws. Now we go into this game tomorrow with home advantage, even though we don't have Cole Palmer. So let's hope the Stamford Bridge fans are going to be making some serious noise, applying some serious pressure to these Barca boys. I want them to feel the pressure whenever they touch the ball, but I'm optimistic because every time we play this club, this is when Chelsea fans are at their best. We're going to need them tomorrow. Now Barcelona, they come off a very impressive 4-0 win against 10-man Athletic Bilbao. I watched that game. I kind of regret it because I saw Lamine Yamal do some disgusting, sickening things on that field. And you know, tomorrow, if we have any hopes of getting a result, there's 2 things we got to do. We need to try and contain Yamal to the best of our abilities, and we need to exploit the hell out of that Barcelona high line. I'm going to let you guys know, I've currently released 5 reasons why we can beat Barcelona. And if you guys remember the same video I made in time for the Club World Cup final in the summer period versus PSG, you guys know that I come serious with the analysis. So make sure you catch the video straight after this preview. But as I mentioned, containing Yamal as best we can and exploiting that high line, it will do us a lot of good in getting a result. Now I feel personally a bit optimistic about our chances tactically because when we use our inverted setup in the big games, I've always personally believed the inverted system is a really good big game system. And I think when you're up against a team that use a classic back four, this system is kind of poised to take advantage, to create those types of overloads against a back four defense. The inverted system can help us when it comes to kind of containing Barcelona counterattacks by having an extra man in midfield. But most importantly, it does exceptionally well in releasing the attacking players 1v1. And tomorrow, we need to exploit the hell out of those Barcelona fullbacks. We need to find our wingers ASAP to stretch Barcelona, because in this Barca system, they can be exploited because the intensity in the high press isn't as good. When you can't rely upon Pedri, who's not playing tomorrow, Javi, Rafinha, players who are key to the intensity pressing up top, it just means that there are going to be some nice spaces we can take advantage of. And those spaces will be between Barca's midfield and defense. And the biggest spaces will be by their fullbacks, who a lot of times become the victim to the poor pressing structure. And we're going to have to take some serious inspiration from what Inter Milan did in those Champions League semi-final ties. Throughout 2025, Barca's press has been inconsistent. They're conceding a lot more goals, and a lot of times now it feels like they're just looking to outscore the opposition compared to kind of completely controlling the game. For example, there is a pressing intensity difference between a Rashford, who will probably play against us tomorrow, and what Rafinha used to bring. That doesn't mean that we get complacent or cocky, because Barca just ooze natural footballing abilities, and you see that with their triangular passing patterns. You see that with their willingness to kind of press resist, carry the ball into tight, difficult spaces, and carry the ball under pressure. You guys, I'm just feeling optimistic that with a combination of our structure, our pressing intensity, the wingers we have being on fire right now, if we make sure we're attacking and defending cohesively, and most importantly, if we take our chances tomorrow, you guys, I feel, I can smell, I can sense that the W is coming tomorrow. So you guys know what I'm about to say. If you feel the same as me that we can beat Barca tomorrow, that's the only time you guys are allowed to hit that like button. Now let's talk about some of the key points from the presser. I have to say some of it was a bit mid, so I'm going to cut through all the fluff and go to the most important parts. One of those parts is, could Cole Palmer make a sneaky inclusion into the team? Probably not. The good news is, he is back training on the field again. He's wearing those protective boots, and who knows, fingers crossed, could we see him against Arsenal? But you're not going to see him tomorrow night. Now, Maresca was asked about how big this next week is between ourselves, Barca, and Arsenal. But Maresca's answer was kind of good. He was kind of also reiterating how important the games after are going to be. Leeds away, Bournemouth away, Atalanta. And I think he's basically trying to communicate to the team that, listen, do not let these occasions get to you guys. Treat every game the same, because we are here to get W's no matter who the opposition is. And that's a good mindset to have for these youngers. Now, there was some talk focused around Barca. Some of it was just kind of dumb talk, like asking Maresca, could he manage Barca one day? Asking about his playing career there when he was at Sevilla. Like, we don't want to hear about that. Let's keep it real. But as we know, Pedri won't be playing. Massive loss in midfield to Barcelona. But Maresca spoke about how fundamental Enzo Fernandez is for the team. The perfect balance between defense and attack right now. Moving on though, the main question on all our minds is Yamal versus Estevão. And a journal asked Maresca, is Yamal Estevao's role model? Now, Menzo didn't really give an answer to this. All he said is that, of course, Yamal is an amazing player, but he seemed to say that Estevao is already on a high level, comparing him to players like Pedri and Yamal. He really feels like Estevao will be a very important player for Chelsea over the next few years, but for him to kind of achieve his potential, he needs to go into every training session feeling like he's going to be better tomorrow than what he was yesterday. And that really is the key to kind of maximizing your potential and worth. There was a little bit of tactical talk. We know that Maresca is quite coy and doesn't want to bait nothing out, of course. But when he was asked about exploiting the high line, you can't really ignore a question like that. Obviously, it will be factored into our game plan tomorrow. So I got some thoughts for this predicted lineup. Make sure you guys are going nowhere. Let's have that conversation. But Maresca also urged the team to pay a lot of attention to the off-the-ball movement from Barcelona, because they're one of the best counter-attacking teams in the world, I have to say. I think Barca play exceptional football. I've watched them for since the beginning of last season. I got to see them out, you know what I mean? I like my football, you guys know that. So it'll be a tough game, but I don't know. I just get this impression that our boys are going to be up for this challenge tomorrow. So I'm optimistic, you guys. And finally, to end press duties, Cucurella was also taking part alongside Enzo Maresca, with Cucurella saying that, of course, there is going to be pressure against Yamal. The entire game won't be decided by Cucurella versus Yamal. And he kind of jokingly said in his presser too that to kind of practice for Yamal, he's going to tell Estevao to wear shin pads in training, implying that he's going to get kicked quite a lot. Now, let's hope that Cucurella, during his time with the Spanish national team squad, will kind of maybe understand Estevao a little bit. But I'm going to have these thoughts and opinions for the main part right now, because we have to discuss the predicted lineup. And I think there's only one lineup I see us using tomorrow night. And he kind of jokingly said in his presser too that to kind of practice for Yamal, he's going to tell Estevao to wear shin pads in training, implying that he's going to get kicked quite a lot. Now, let's hope that Cucurella, during his time with the Spanish national team squad, will kind of maybe understand Estevao a little bit. But I'm going to have these thoughts and opinions for the main part right now, because we have to discuss the predicted lineup. And I think there's only one lineup I see us using tomorrow night. I'm going for this particular lineup because I feel like you have to play smart against Barcelona. There's no need to show your entire hands. We have weapons off the bench we can turn to that can either help us protect a lead or add more firepower into the game. So on screen, this is the lineup I'm going for. It's inspired by some of the big game lineups we've used. And as you guys are seeing up front, I've gone for Garnacho left side, Joao Pedro and Estevão on the right. In midfield, Enzo, Caicedo, Reece James. And in defense of Cucurella, Chalobah, Fofana, Malo Gusto, and Robert Sanchez. Now, I've got big hopes around Robert Sanchez. You guys know I like to be objective, and if I see a player doing the right things, I do not let bias cloud my mind, yeah? When I had thoughts around Rudiger and Kukurea, I was vocal. But when I saw those improvements, I was instantly vocal to say, these guys are playing on point. I don't have anything against these guys, I just want to see good performances, and I can't ignore the improvements I'm seeing from Sanchez. I think he'll have a big game tomorrow, especially from one aspect, and that will be distribution. That will be really key for us, because with his distribution from deep, he can unlock the potential to give us more pace, more speed to find the wingers, and kind of just open the field up for ourselves. So Sanchez is showing some decent improvement in this area. Let's hope he shows this tomorrow evening against Barca. Now, I've gone for this back four. Jalaba, Fofana, I think that they speak for themselves right now. I was thinking about Achimpong and others, but some guys need more, fitness to get back. Some are too inexperienced. I feel like Jalaba and Fofana have looked quite decent, and they've kept 2 clean sheets on the bounce. They give us that ability to play with more of a higher line, and I think that will be quite important to ensure that our pressing structure is quite compact, and we're not just giving away free space for Barca players to receive in turn. The fullbacks, Kukurea, Malo Gusto. I think this is a game that Gusto has to play in. He's shown in the big games that his utility play, his off-ball movements, his ability to connect the field by being that support player gives you that triangular possibilities. And that sounded so naughty that I don't know why I said it like that. But for my vision, I'm expecting Gusto to provide that overlapping option down the right-hand side. Think about games like what we saw against PSG. Why was that so key? When I discussed that, because I predicted that Gusto would be the guy to play that role against PSG, my planning and thinking was he helps create the overloads. Think about how Estevão from the right-hand side has the license now to come inside a bit more, carry inside. When you're kind of just taking Balde inside with you, that frees up the right lane for Malo Gusto to make that overlap, and that's going to be key. Sometimes you need to force back Barcelona players to try and contain you. We're not going to be playing defensively, silly counter-attacking football. No, we're going to play with a purpose, we're going to play with a game plan, we're going to play with real confidence. But this is what Gusto helps to offer us, because not only is he offering us the overlapping option down the right, but he will also double up to help kind of contain Rashford and others out wide. This means that we are going to be marshaled by Reece James and Caicedo. I'll be honest, maybe I'm a little bit not nervous because Reece James is really good, but I do feel like Barcelona may try to apply a bit of pressure on Reece James to try and force some mistakes, because it's not going to work on Caicedo. But all I'm kind of hoping for is that Reece James is just going to be able to kind of station himself more to the right side of the pitch to offer better passing connections between Estevao and Gusto. But most importantly, one thing I want to see from Reece James is serious pressing. Against some of the big games, Reece James has been tasked with being the guy to leave that defensive pivot to engage the press higher up the field. And that could be important when it comes to trying to contain Frenkie de Jong, the link between Barca's defense and midfield. Trying to disrupt him, fouling him and applying serious pressure, that could give us that big possibility to win this midfield battle. And that ends with the attack. Now, I think we're probably going to see this front three. They've been rested tactically for a reason. But I think Joao Pedro will be important for us tomorrow, purely because he's a striker that can kind of not only just run the channels, but drop deeper. And I think sometimes dropping deeper, it means that the Barcelona defenders will have to kind of decide who's going to leave their defensive line to engage Joao Pedro. They're the type of problems that we want to cause Barca, because when you're able to kind of disrupt their shape like that, you can kind of pick them off laterally with your Garnacho's movements, your Estevaos. This is a type of fluidity that we need to show, and I'm hoping that Joao Pedro has a great game. He was a bit mids in the last game, 100% he was mids, but he's also been used quite a lot of times. But he's also shown that he does offer us something in the big games, and I think against Barcelona, it's a real test for himself to show what he can do in a proper Champions League game. And obviously, my guys, the wingers, I've alluded to it already, but their movement in behind is going to be key. Their direct threat is going to be key. Garnacho and his movements, yeah? Koundé's been a bit mid so far this season. Can Garnacho get the better of his man? I hope so. For Estevao, I think Estevao is going to cook Balde. Yes, Balde has the recovery pace, but Estevao is just too fluid. You know, his accelerations are just too on point. The close control, and even the desire and the strength. If we play smart, if we make Estevao the focus of the team, because if Palmer's not there, we need that link. It has to be Estevao. I need Estevao with that license to come inside, because he's going to help Joao Pedro being that combination guy to play off. He's going to be the guy that we can find between the lines, yeah? And he's going to give Malo Gusto that possibility to stretch Barca's backline even more with those wide overlaps. So my friends, this is the lineup I see starting, but don't forget we have weapons like Neto, Gittins, Delap, Santos and Co. that can help us maintain what we need to maintain in tomorrow's game. So now you know my thoughts around tomorrow's game. I'm ending things with my prediction, and there's only two predictions I see. One is a 2-2 draw or a win. I'd be surprised if we lose against them tomorrow. It's not due to cockiness or overestimating them. I just feel like there's so many things aligning in our favor that can allow us to really hurt Barcelona. A part of me feels like this will be one of the games for the memory books. We'll see a great contest between Yamal and Estevão. And I see Estevão being a real difference maker for us in the setup that I saw him playing in the predicted lineup. So I'm going to be going for a 2-1 win to Chelsea. And if you guys think I'm right, if you guys think I'm capping, give me your predictions in the comment section right now and tell me one key player that can make the difference for us in tomorrow's game. So my friends, that's everything I got to tell you, man. Make sure you guys stay locked in tomorrow on Blue Lions TV for match day against Barcelona. I am so excited. I'm so gassed. I've been waiting for this game for a long time. And in less than 24 hours, boys, we're going to see it happening. So I hope you guys enjoy. Show us some love, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.